Thank you, Samaji, and thank you all the panelists, I think. And let me also begin by thanking NIICE, for organizing this conclave and including Nepal's foreign policy as part of the issues that the conclave is discussing. I think the Samaji rightly introduced the subject that Nepal has a long history of conducting its independent foreign policy. It is one of the oldest nations in the world. And of course, it has gone through many stages of its in the conduct of international relations. But what is very important, looking at it, the foreign policy from the perspective of Nepal, as well as many countries around the world, is that primary objective, I think, for the foreign policy of any country is to promote its overall national interest. And then, of course, I should say that within the framework of international norms and principles. I think that's a very important objective for everyone. And Nepal has also looked at foreign policy from that perspective. The second point, of course, the foreign policy of any country, I think, is always determined by many factors. The history, as I said, 200 years of history, the geography that we are geostrategically located between the two big powers, China and India now, in the old times between China and of course, Tibet at that time, and then, of course, the British Empire. And we were also part of the overall, this geographic location that also determined foreign policy. And then the geopolitics, as I said, the politics that comes with the geography, as well as the power component of it, and the status of the country, its internal strength, and then, of course, the national interest. And I would say, because that is very important, because we live in a very interdependent world, therefore, the behavior and approaches of your neighbors, as well as those who influence the international system, I think all of these are very important determinants of any country's foreign policy. Therefore, I think when you look at Nepal's foreign policy, these all determinants have played a very important role in setting our foreign policy. And the Constitution of Nepal also provides a very strong framework for promoting and defining what it means by its foreign policy. And like many countries, of course, the fundamental issues are how to really safeguard your sovereignty, territorial integrity, independence. And then, of course, these are very defensive interests, but also the promotional interests are very important. How to really promote your dignity, promote your national interest, and also ensure that you are a very important contributor, participant in the international system. I think, therefore, when you look at our objective, I think I should say that security, like any country, is very important. A dignity as an independent sovereign nation in the Committee of International Relations, in the international community, is also very important. And then, of course, the prosperity. These are very important issues for us. These basic objectives that we have really defined for ourselves. And then how do you really want to do that? Naturally, through consolidation of our multifaceted bilateral relationship, and then expressing our commitment to the fundamental principles of international order. Now, you all know that we have been making a lot of efforts to really ensure that our relationship remains very productive, very high level trust and confidence with the neighbors, which is a very important beginning of relationship with any country. And then, of course, we should not, and we would not like to confine ourselves in the neighborhood only, because as I said, we are part of the international community, and then enhancing our relationship with the global community is equally important. And that's why continuous and comprehensive promotion of dynamic relationship with the neighbors, as well as the global community as a whole, especially the major powers, the developed countries around the world, and then, of course, multilateral institutions and the global community at large. Now, we, like many countries, I think we also try to ensure that there is also a consolidation of our internal cohesion, consistency, and of course, in promoting our foreign policy. Second, I think in pursuing our long-term interest, we would like to promote, and I think this is one of the also very important issue, trust, confidence, and of course, by thoughtful articulation of our foreign policies, and continuous and comprehensive analysis and engagement of our relationship with the neighbors, but also, as I said, the larger community around the world. And then also enhancing our visibility at the international level to defend, not only to defend, but also to promote our general interest, and then promotion of multilateralism, fundamental principles at the international level. I think these are very important issues for us. I believe that this not only promotes another layer of protection of your sovereignty and independent status at the global level, but also this is a means to promote our larger national interest, because his actions at the global level also help us to deal with the global challenges and also promote our global solidarity. Now, having said all of that, I think it is very important for us to really look at where we stand now. There is often a saying that what you see depends on where you stand. That is very important. We live today in a rapidly changing global scenario, I must say, especially now as the world seems to have entered into a comprehensive contest between the US and China. And we also see the Chinese and the Indian relationship has also gone through a very complicated phase now, especially after their conflict at the border last year. And then, of course, we have also seen that, the whole, the global challenges, including the COVID-19, but also the climate change related impacts. And then, of course, the very strong, I should say, contest that is going on every issue that we talked about, whether it is a political relationship, whether it is a military relationship around the world, but also on technology, human rights issues, and all of these have now really become very much contested around the world. And that is also something that has also led to the reciprocal tariff wars, sanctions regimes, and technology regime, the challenges to all of that. And these are very important for us to have a better perspective of where we stand and how we should promote our relationship. And the Asia Pacific region, which we also belong to this region, is also being a focal point of this strategic competition around the world. And therefore, I think for countries like us, which have a very limited, I should say, attributes of power, but we have a long history of being independent and being a part of the global community and promoting global peace, stability, as well as the global cooperation, have also important role to play to really bring this the global community towards more peaceful, more stable, and most prosperous order. But this is the challenge that we are going through, like any other country. And of course, the strategic competition, as I said, in the Asia Pacific has a reflection all around the world. And therefore, avoidance of conflict and promoting, I should say, better relationship around the world, in the neighborhood, but also around the world, is also part of the efforts of every country around the world. Therefore, what should we do in terms of these dynamics that we are going through in terms of the relationship at the regional as well as the global level? I think the consistent and the deep analysis and understanding of the changing dynamics is very important, not only of the region, but beyond as well. And I think the engagement with all to fully understand the implications of the changes around us is also very, very important. Conducting a balanced policy on security perceptions, commitment to promote dignity and enhancement of our economic interests are critical in view of our, as I said, geostrategic location. And then, of course, we should stress, I think this is also very, very important in view of the very much contest that is going on around the world, that our relationships are not mutually exclusive and they are not a zero sum, and we should try to really make the positive sum as the relationship move forward. Multi-layered and diverse engagement is key to the smaller countries, especially which are strategically located, because it increases your freedom of choice and as well as freedoms to maneuver to enhance your fundamental interests. And also, I should say that there is a need to ensure that we engage with all and get due benefit from all the relationship with balanced, constructive, and beneficial engagement with all. I think it is very important here to stress that getting support from all is really important. Avoidance of taking sides and aligning with a single power is very important to, in order not to be entangled, but of course deciding the issues on the basis of the merit, and then promotion of the larger national interest should be really critical. We should be doing that also by stressing the rules-based international order and greater engagement, I should say, of the international community in the international multilateral forum, not only to interact with each other, but also to reinforce the fundamental principles of the conduct of international relationship. So many global issues demand global cooperation of all. Multilateral principles should be our input and anchor, and we should also therefore work for promoting them at the global level, whether it is a climate change, pandemic, disarmament, peaceful settlement of disputes, technology regime, global solidarity in favor of the vulnerable countries like us, or many other countries around the world. And I should say, therefore, that I think this is what we should be really making an effort on. And this is where the international community should be looking at. I must say that, this is a time to really engage with all. And the countries like us should not be asked to take a choice, to have, the engagement with all and promotion of global solidarity and collaboration is the message that we should be getting across the board to everyone around the world. And that is something that we should be consistently doing at this particular point of time. Thank you very much.